Hey guys, Xaryu here, and today I have some epic matches for you guys versus the number one team on ladder and the winners of the last 3v3 tournament in Columbus, Ohio, the Jungle Cleave of Dillypoo, Foxy, and Milkman X. And we had some good games versus them. I was playing with Oz, and my wife is okay, aka Envioso. And guys, this matchup is very difficult for us. So we actually lost against them. This first game is actually going to be a loss. It's back and forth here on National Main's Fall, but I'm going to kind of go through our strategy and kind of explain as well as I can what is happening in this game and kind of our objectives throughout this game, so you guys might have a better matchup versus Jungle. Jungle, guys, is one of the most common / most powerful combinations right now that you can play in 3v3 arena, and the main thing you want to do is line of sight the hunter while continuing doing damage to the hunter and the feral when you're kind of running around the pillar. And then when you get CC onto the priest, you can do some big burst setups with the stun, or you can actually switch to the priest as well. So those are all the things I want to keep in mind. The main thing I want to keep in mind is survival, though, right? Just living. That's it. That's literally it. They're both onto me. I pop that temp shield. I get silenced at pretty low HP. It's crows. That's a lot of the damage from the hunter, a lot of damage from the feral, but it's not true shot yet. It's not incarnation yet. And so we can't really use too much, right? But it is crows. I use my mass invisibility there. My priest is in CC. I use my normal invisibility. Still line-siding the hunter. So this is actually a good job line-siding the hunter. Get feared. Getting very low HP. Use my normal invis. And then my priest has taught me back off. So this is actually a great opener. This is actually a great opener. We don't have to use too much besides like my invises. My priest still has Trinket Ray. I still have my ice block. We still have a lot of defensive cooldowns. And that was pretty much because I was line-siding the hunter. But it wasn't true shot and it wasn't incarn. So, you know, they just did a lot of damage straight up. And that's the thing. It's very difficult to, survive when there's just that much consistent pressure. And like, here's another thing. The hunter's shooting me, right? So I want to line aside him, but I also want to stay in line aside of my priest as well to receive the healing. So it's like, it's kind of back and forth, right? It's like, if I go to my priest, the hunter's going to kill me. If I don't go to the priest, then I'm not receiving heals. So right here, I am forced on the ice block when my priest is in that CC. My priest is out of the CC now. The master spell is being casted. It gets interrupted by Oz. Great wind shear there. But I need to get back in line side of my priest ASAP if I want to survive here. My trinket blink to my priest, and he is going to grip me as well. Toss out some heals. We still have Ray if we need it, but now the full trap comes out, and it does get trinketed. I do get raid, and this is just scary, right? Back and forth. It's almost negative. He does get that heal at the last second, though, to make that raid back positive. So now I'm back to full HP. We have no trinket. We have no ray. We have no ice block. We have no invises. Like, they're basically cycled through every single defensive cooldown we have, and we didn't even overlap, right? So it's not like we made a huge mistake. We overlapped. It's just, this game, we need to, like, push them back on the back foot at some point, right? That's pretty much what I'm trying to say, because we have no defensive cooldowns left. We need to get that offensive pressure if we want to live against this jungle. 19 seconds left on Incarn still, so it's not looking great. Milkman X is taking a ton of pressure as well from Oz. We need to connect and do something offensive on the Milkman to push them in a defensive position, or we need to CC Milkman to get something offensive going on Dylan or Foxy. Pretty much what's going to need to happen, but the Incarnation connects back onto me. This Temp Shield's going to tell me back off. Going to be fine for now. Priest is in the open, and we're getting a lot of damage onto the Hunter. The Mind Control comes out. I'm trying to line sight the Hunter as best as I can. Come back in my priest line of sight. So that's the thing. Like, you don't want to line of sight your priest for too long, but you also want to line of sight the hunter, and that's very difficult to do a lot of the times because the hunter and the priest are stacked. But line of sighting the hunter and being in line of sight of your priest is kind of what you want to aim for. Here's the bursting shot coming out, and this is pretty much where it's going to be GG. We still have Guardian, I think, maybe. Okay, no, we already used Guardian as well. So that's it, right? We had no defensive cooldowns left. They pretty much just ran us over. And like, the only thing I can say about this game, because defensively it wasn't played terribly, is that we need more offensive pressure. That means we might need a huge opener onto the priest, or we might need to just use that ray earlier, use that ice block earlier, be like, okay, I'm respecting their cooldowns, and then boom, get a huge sheep onto the priest and a huge stun onto the hunter or stun on the feral, and then kind of go from there. But if we're playing too defensive, they're just going to get all of our cooldowns and just win the game. Wasn't poorly played, but we could definitely play it better. Let's look at some more matches. All right, so here's a match on Blade's Edge Arena versus the same exact team. And we fought, I think this was a little bit after checking out my transmog right there. Looking pretty fly, Czar, looking pretty fly. And we try to do a better job in this game of getting some offense rolling while we're still we have to play defensive to survive, but we have to put them on the back foot at some point if we want to survive as well. I want to note quickly, I'm playing downstairs with my team because of the pillars here. I want to line of sight as much as possible. If we were playing upstairs, I wouldn't have anywhere to line of sight, and I would just get shot down by the hunter, and I would just die. Right, so the positioning downstairs is very, very critical. Getting out some arcane explosions, getting my arcane barrage stacks, so I can get a lot of damage. But look at that, right away, Milkman's 50% life. We got a big opener. He uses Archangel Rapture to top himself, top his team back off. Now the stun's coming out onto NVO. So right away, guys, when the stun's coming out, I'm behind the pillar. That temp shield's gonna top me, and I'm doing anything I can to stay away from this hunter. Right, we blink back. We can stay next to the priest. Continuing damage on the priest. This is very important. That priest taking a lot of damage right here is like why this game is going to go a lot differently, right? It's forcing them into positions they don't really want to be. The priest is playing Vim as well, so we can just get that. That'd be fantastic. Get that Vim off. That'd be fantastic. Now, basically, I'm kiting back between this pillar and this pillar, depending on where my priest is and where I'm CC'd at, with just my blinks and displacements, right? So I'm kiting back and forth right there. That was my Trinket Invis, my Mass Invis, and normally, guys, you want to cycle through your Invises first before you Ice Block. I say this a lot on stream, but you definitely, I say it on stream when I die without blocking, and I still had Invises, and my stream's like, oh, you didn't block, and I'm like, no, I did an Invis, but I still died. But anyway, you want to Invis, you want to get those Invises out of the way before the Ice Block because they're shorter cooldowns, so you can cycle through them a little bit quicker. So using that Trinket Invis there, that's, pretty much all I have to survive besides that Ice Block. And then my Priest still has pretty much every defensive cooldown. So this game's going fabulous so far, right? If we get a CC on the Milkman, he has no he is playing Relentless, so he has no Trinket. If we get CC on the Milkman, we can one-shot Dylan. Milkman's taking some pressure too, so we can also go for a one-shot on him. My Priest does get interrupted, going for a line of sight, and I'm just line of sighting for as long as this interrupt is lasting, right? So as long as my Priest is CC'd, I'm staying out of line of sight so the Hunter can't get those aim shots into me. My Priest is getting very, NCC, I'm getting very low. Priest grips me for that heal, tops me back off of this ray. Hopefully it's still negative. Okay, there it goes. It goes positive. Now my Priest is trapped again. Okay, I have Ice Block if I need it. There's no reason to really run to my Priest yet because he's still in at CC. The mind control is being casted onto my wife is okay. So really I have to just pull off a miracle and line of sight as best as I can. I do a displace back away from everyone, and my Priest trap is almost over, so I'm actually going to come back over the top of the map, back into my Priest LOS, so he can top me back off. And that's really just good positioning, right? We landed that whole CC chain, or they landed that whole CC chain, but they couldn't really connect onto me. And that's really what we have to do, guys. We have to completely run across the map and do Arcane Mage things. When my Priest is in CC, when my Priest is out of CC, we come back, let him top me. When he's in CC, book it across the map, displace, whatever you have to do to survive. When he's out of CC, we can go offensive. So here it is once again. Priest is going to go into CCs very soon here. I have that temp shield, believing in the temp shield. Toss you back off a little bit, taking so much damage. Dylan's in trouble as well, though. There's the bash coming out, and that is going to be my Ice Block. So Priest goes into CC. I wasn't far. It's definitely going to be defensive cooldown. My Priest still has Trinket. I think he still has Guardian as well. So we're not super scared, but I mean, the Ice Block does fade. I'm a little bit scared here. Now, Priest is taking a ton of damage. He throws out the Pain Suppression, or he might have just went down there. He has that fade and that Pain Suppression. I have Arcane Power, Presence of Mind back in about 5 seconds. So it's a pretty close game back and forth. There's the Blood Elf Silence. The Hex coming out as well. Mind Control now onto Milkman X. I'm getting very low. The Guardian does get used and tossed me back immediately. Milkman's in trouble. Milkman goes down. And this game is pretty epic because I go down as well. So now it's going to be a 2v2 between the Feral and the Hunter versus the Priest and the Elemental Shaman. It's a Holy Priest and an Ele Shaman. The healer DPS, so my team should win this almost every single time. The Hunter and the Feral don't stand much chance because they don't have a healer, and they're already pretty low HP, so as long as Oz and Vioso just survive the Flame Shocks and the Lava Burst, I think consistent pressure from Oz will actually take them out. There's an Earthquake, there's some damage, Hunter goes down, Ray of Hope's going to top Oz back off, Feral goes down. So that was another game against them. That was a win, but that was so close, and I died, and we barely won, and it was a miracle kill. Basically, guys, we shouldn't really be winning this matchup. It's very difficult, but if you do not overlap any defensive cooldowns, when your Priest and CC run completely across the map and play very well, you can get crazy wins like this, but it's not looking too hot. Let's hop into another one, though. All right, so this is a game we had against them on the Grand Arena. I think this was right after. We just kept queuing into them yesterday, which was fantastic. Had a good time queuing into them. But in this game, we also wanted to switch the pressure back around. So my Shaman's playing very aggressive right as the gates open. And he's just running out to Milkman X, getting that fade out of the way, getting the Flame Shock, the Frost Shock onto him. He's 86% life. And I really want to point out this kill right here. So I guess I just spoiled it a little bit, but Milkman X is going to go down. And I want to show you guys how. All right, so he's 59% life, and I'm not popping cooldowns yet. If I was popping cooldowns, Priest would have trinketed or maybe pain suppressioned. But there's still a War Stomp, maybe an Earthshock Stun, and a Blood Elf Silence. So there's still a lot of CC for this Priest if we want to burst him down. There's the War Stomp, there's the Blood Elf Silence, tons of damage comes in, and the Priest goes down. So let me break that down once again. Shaman runs in, gets some juiced up. Priest uses that Chastise Stun. I'm behind the pillar. I pop my Temp Shield because I want to play offensive, and I don't want to have to worry about my life, really. So pop the Temp Shield at full HP. I have my 4 stacks. I have Arcane Power and Presence of Mind ready for Milkman X. The War Stomp comes out. I decide, okay, let's pop cooldowns because we want to force more from this Priest. Since he didn't use Pain Suppression or his Trinket, he should have to use more. So I'm using Arcane Power, Presence of Mind. Okay. I have 2 Arcane Blasts ready to go. One hits for almost about 1,000,000 damage right here. I have the Arcane Torrent, Blink Arcane Torrent on top of him, so the Priest is now silenced. So it's a full stun and a half stun into a silence, and then I use my second Arcane Charge for about 700,000 damage, and then I just use the Arcane Barrage to finish him off, 620k damage. So we did like a little over 2 million damage right there onto the Priest, just in like 2 globals, and the Shaman continue damage, and the Priest just goes down. So that's the type of opener we need. He doesn't necessarily have to die, but he has to do one of 2 things. We either get Trinket and Pain Suppression right away, and we get a lot of defensive cooldown so we can set ourselves up to win very soon, or he dies, right? So it's one of the 2. What we don't want to do is play too defensive to the point where we're not forcing anything, and then we'll never actually have a win condition. So this was a good game, even if the Priest didn't die and he used that Pain Suppression, and then we had a nice opener anyway. So let's hop into one more match. All right, guys, here is a Tiger's Peak Arena versus the same team. Like I said, guys, we fought this team over and over and over. These guys are currently rank 1 on ladder. These guys were rank 1 on ladder last season for a lot of it, and they were the winners of the last tournament, the NA Cup number 3, I believe. So these guys are insanely good at jungle, and this was just such a hard matchup for us to beat. But right away, playing a little bit more defensive in this opener. My Priest is in CC, throw out that Temp Shield, line of sighting the Hunter, throw out that Invis. The Invis actually sits for a second, throw out my second Invis. I'm just kind of rotating through my Invises here on this first CC chain so I can get him back off of cooldown. Coming back into my Priest line of sight. Now, don't want to line of sight my Priest too much, but also don't want to line of sight. I want to stay out of the line of sight of the Hunter. Priest is taking a little bit of damage from Oz, but we're not really doing that too much. Now, I'm getting ready to play very far as I did on Blade's Edge Arena, right? As soon as my Priest gets CC, I'm going to book it across the map and then port back to him. There's the Ray of Hope into hopefully a big heal. Still negative, barely goes positive there and topping me back off. Now, Dylan's taking a bunch of damage. That stun's coming off onto Envioso. And once that stun comes off, guys, I'm line of sighting. I'm Temp Shielding. I'm blinking around. I'm trying to survive that entire trap duration. Now that the trap's over, we can come back into LOS of my Priest. A Milkman taking a ton of damage as well. He goes to about 60% life. Get that Blink CS, tons of damage on him. I'm taking a ton of damage as well. Still have Ice Block. We still have Guardian. Still have a lot of defensive cooldowns. Dylan getting very low here. Look at the difference, guys. Look how much pressure we're creating. A lot of this is Oz creating this pressure, but a lot of it is me as well, not playing uber defensive, only playing defensive when my Priest is in CC. When my Priest is not in CC, I'm really just clobbering everything. But I still have cooldowns. So this Hunter can die as soon as my cooldowns connect when we get CC onto the Priest. Like, this game is over if we sheep the Priest and kill the Hunter right out of this deterrence. It can also be over if we just stun up the Priest with no pain suppression. There's a lot of ways this game could just end right away, and we still have a lot of defensive cooldowns. So this game is like phenomenal for us. Now we get that Mark of Alunith onto the Priest. Priest taking a ton of pressure, but I would love to just go back to the Hunter or the Feral as well because they're right next to us, and if we just get any type of CC, it's GG. Here is my Arcane Power. Arcane Power Barrage, I'm going to Orb here in a second. Throw out the Orb, throw out the Presence of Mind, throw out some Arcane Blast, and Dylan just goes down. That's kind of the thing here, right? I'm going to rewind this like 20 seconds. We push the Priest away because we killed the Priest in the previous game, so the Priest is like, oh no, they want to go me. If the Priest didn't run away, we probably would have just killed him. We have that Mark of Alunith, like everything onto him. So he probably would have just died. So he runs across the map behind the pillar. So instead of chasing him, we just immediately tab on over to the Hunter. Well, we tabbed to the Fairly Walled. Now we tab to the Hunter. We pop everything. Priest is way over here. You can't even really see him, and the Hunter goes down. So we didn't even need CC. Hunter just flops. Every offensive cooldown popped, and that was probably our best game. It's not like we just killed him in the opener. It's not like we had a cross kill. We actually just got that counter pressure while surviving. And I think the key is for me as the mage player is to run when my Priest is in CC. Don't line aside him when he's not in CC, and really get out that counter pressure when my priest has time to top me off. So we can't run when my priest is out of CC. But guys, I hope you enjoyed those games. Some pretty epic matches, guys. Make sure to give it a big thumbs up if you liked this content. If you did not, thumbs it down. Talk to me in the comments below about what you guys want to see for next time. Don't forget to subscribe. See you guys next time. Peace.